Chris McCracken.
Yeah, so as part of the CMA's recent decision to block Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard, there was a report that came out, and it talks about a lot of things pertaining to how they came to the decision that they made. And I don't know at all how this folds into the way that they made their decision, and quite frankly, I don't really care. I just thought it was interesting because it's kind of a study and some research about marketing budgets for blockbuster games, or not marketing budgets, but just budgets in general for blockbuster games.
Oh my god!
And I just thought some of this stuff was interesting because you over the years, like you hear some numbers and you kind of like, oh, this they may have spent this and that on this game or whatever, but I don't feel like we've ever got like a comprehensive, like this is kind of where AAA
this has brought a
budgets are
lot
these
of
days.
things to the surface. A lot of Sony's, kind of, the dust has been kind of uncovered on some of these.
Yeah,
that's right. Things. That's very interesting.
So it said that blockbuster game budgets would grow from an average of 50 to 150 million last console generation to over 200 million for games released in the next couple of years. Back in 2014, a full budget was about 60 million. Wow. So just for context of how much that has grown over that time. And then there's four publishers.
Quick, I just wanted to throw this out there.
Sure.
Avengers Endgame cost $356 million to make.
Oh, jeez.
Like, so just as you take a blockbuster movie and kind of put it up. Now, that's the blockbusteriest.
Right. Yes.
Well, I guess Avatar would be really the blockbusteriest.
Yeah, that's
movies.
Unfortunately, that's true.
But they said, how much did it cost to make Avatar? $250 million.
Wow.
So that's $100 million less than it took to make Endgame. Now, Endgame shot over years and years. I actually listened to a Smartless episode with the Russo brothers on it today. And they were just talking about how, that shot where he's like, Avengers Assemble. And like just, they do that big hero shot. That one shot took them 1 year to coordinate.
That's crazy.
To get everybody's, like, because they didn't want to CGI it, to get everybody in that shot and just run across there. It only took them 2 hours to shoot it. It took them a year to get everybody's schedule to line up to all stand there, all the Marvel universe to stand there together. Anyway, so 356 million. We're talking about 200 million for gaming, and that's for Blockbuster. And these games are making that money back.
Well, so then in this article, which I think is from Kotaku, it doesn't list the publisher on it, so I apologize about that. But it goes on to list some information that was given to them for this report from 4 different publishers. Now, this article, anyways, does not name the publishers, so we don't know who they are. And I didn't dig through the 418-page report to see if they're named.
You didn't?
Oh,
come
on! I didn't.
You could have done a find on page.
I know I could have, but I didn't do that. So I'm just going to go through and read what this says. Now, these numbers are stupid, but I don't think it's for everything. But still, it's crazy stupid. So one publisher said that it spends $164 million on pre-launch development costs and $55 million on marketing. Another one said that its budgets range from $80 million to $350 million, with marketing costs of up to $310 million for its biggest games. For its biggest games, so not everything, clearly.
Still.
The third publisher reported costs of between $110 million to $350 million for recent releases. And then the fourth publisher said budgets range from $90 million to $180 million, with marketing ranging $50 to $150. But the most expensive game cost for them was $660 million to develop, $550 to market. That puts that game's total cost over $1 billion.
Jeez.
Now, I don't know what game that was. And that's the only one that was reaching those kinds of crazy numbers. Right. But still, I mean, again, that's so crazy because you compare it again, like you were saying, what was it, Infinity War or Endgame, whichever one you said.
Endgame.
That game made like $1 billion or more, in the United States.
Movie.
And then a couple billion, I think that it's at probably over 2, I think the last time I saw the numbers or whatever, worldwide. But like this game, whatever it was, spent $1 billion just to make it be a thing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I don't know. It's kind of insane. And quite frankly, again, I know that there's a lot of things involved, and there's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons on the profit side for a lot of these companies that make a lot of games. But at the same time, it's like,
which justifies the cost.
When you hear how much they're spending on all this stuff, it's like, I'm not that freaked out that they went from $60 to $70 games. I mean, it's just not that surprising.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
well,
exactly.
There's got to be something.
And when you look at how, because the money's probably not one-to-one either, right? So if Sony owns a bunch of studios, that money probably funnels up to Sony somehow and then back down, you know, across a couple things. You know, we've always talked about the church paying for the youth group, right? Like the youth group doesn't make any money. The church makes money and pays for the youth group. And so, you know, as we look back on Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm just looking at numbers really quick. $700 million was made in its opening weekend. Obviously, we know Grand Theft Auto 5 sold $1 billion in the first 4 days. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, once it hit mobile, it was sitting at $5 billion in revenue. 5B with a B, 5 billion. Minecraft has made something crazy as it's been out. This is a story from 2021 saying with an estimated $350 million coming in every year since 2012. And so, you know, you would just think Mojang and all them are just like, yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, they made everything in a week. Yeah. It's like, we're good.
So it says, and I'm looking at, and I don't know where this is from. This is just showing up at the top of Google, but this is from April 4th of 2023. It says over 60 games have actually passed the $1 billion milestone. 60. And so that's a lot of games. And I would imagine that there's a bunch of those that are in the mobile space that didn't cost half as much to make.
Right.
You know, like Flappy Bird was making some stupid amount of money, so that guy couldn't even sleep. Had to take it off the store. But yeah, man, it's like, yes, the money that they spend is big, but the money they get, you know, unless you're Anthem,
even bigger.
I can't imagine how much it costs to make Anthem, then to promote Anthem, and then Anthem, you know, crashes and burns.
Yeah.
But geez Louise. And I'm with you, Chris. Like, I haven't, man, I don't know. Maybe in the time machine I did balk at it, but I don't remember ever balking at 60 going to 70. I feel like I've always felt like games are grossly underpriced. If we were paying $80 for SNES games and we're paying $60 for The Last of Us, you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
It just didn't seem like, you know, when they're like, we're going up to 70, you're like, yep, let's go up to 70, baby. I'm good.
Yeah.
But it's also that, you know, not every game's going to make $1 billion in a week, and you're not always going to make your money back with some of these other games. But with games like that, it kind of gives you that cushion. And I think some developers and some distributors, when they have that kind of money, that's, I would hope, that's when they kind of go out and like, all right, let's spend a little money here, do some research on this or do this and come, you know, figure out this game. And then some games do great and some don't, but the innovation, I think, is always still going to be there because they have this padding that they got from like one flagship game, which is still insane. But it's good to see that. And you just hope that they continue to use that wisely in further progressing the games. And I'm with you. I don't care about the $70 price either, because that's going back to some hardworking people. So
and you
give it to them.
You take into consideration as well, like all those games, that Gabe mentioned that made like $1 billion, and who knows for each of those games what their gaming and marketing budget was. But you got to think, if any of those, let's just pick one out, and let's say that one cost development and marketing ended up coming in at like $500 million or something. Well, they're probably out of that $1 billion they made, which it may have gone more than now, but they might be taking, all right, well, let's take $500 billion of that, put it towards the sequel or whatever. That's probably going to be even bigger, so it's going to probably go above that. So it's not like they're just sitting on $1 billion, like we're just sitting on it all. They're funneling it back in, you know, to keep the machine moving, kind of thing.
The only reason I bring up those games especially is because they're not new. And so, like, I wouldn't imagine that Grand Theft Auto 5 back in 2013 cost nearly that much to budget, to promote and to make. Right? It's just different dollars. And they
GTA
still passed $1
promotes
billion.
Itself, essentially.
Yeah, seriously.
Exactly.
The children.
And they're like, ah! People freak out, you know.
And so none of those games are new. You know what I'm saying? Minecraft is old.
Right.
Red Dead 2 is old now. And so I see it.
Man,
what
do
you're
you
saying.
remember,
You know,
like Microsoft bought Mojang, I think, for like $2 billion, and that was seemed insane.
Gosh, yeah, I do remember that.
That's
a
nuts.
good buy.
Compared
That's a
to
good
now.
buy right there. Yeah,
Yes,
that's like Mark Cuban buying the Mavericks.
Yep.
You know, I think he bought them for like $250 million, and I think they're worth like something billion dollars now. You know.
Well, and like coupling with that, which was even more recent, really not that long ago comparatively. But I think Sony only paid like $220 million for Insomniac.
Wow.
Or something crazy. It's like, that's like the steal of the century kind of thing, you know, of recent times kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
insane. Some of these deals that they went out on these companies.